In the shadows of ancient myths, where gods and heroes often take center stage, there lies a treasure trove of stories that history nearly forgot. Stories of powerful goddesses, fierce warriors, and wise enchantresses whose voices once echoed through the ages. Take, for instance, the tale of Jord, a Norse earth goddess whose name literally means earth, and whose strength was said to rival even that of Odin. Yet how many of us have heard her story? These women were more than just footnotes in mythology. They were the architects of cultures, the keepers of wisdom, and the silent forces behind some of history's most pivotal moments. So why have their stories been buried under the weight of time? What can we learn from these forgotten figures who shaped the very fabric of our world? In this video, we'll uncover the incredible lives of 30 remarkable women from mythologies around the globe, women whose stories are not just myths, but lessons in resilience, power, and the enduring strength of the feminine spirit. From the cunning tricksters to the nurturing creators, each story is a window into a world where women were not just supporting characters, but legends in their own right. Are you ready to meet the heroines history almost forgot? Let's begin. In the shadowy corners of ancient Gnostic traditions, there lies a figure whose radiance once illuminated the very essence of wisdom, Sophia. Often overshadowed by more familiar deities, Sophia was revered as the embodiment of divine knowledge, a luminous presence who bridged the gap between the earthly and the eternal. Her name, meaning wisdom in Greek, speaks to her profound significance in spiritual thought, yet her story remains one of the most overlooked in mythology. Sophia's origins are as mysterious as they are profound. In Gnostic cosmology, she is often depicted as an emanation of the divine, a celestial being who played a pivotal role in the creation of the universe. Some texts describe her as the mother of all knowledge, a guiding light who sought to bring enlightenment to humanity. Yet her journey was not without struggle. In one of the most poignant myths, Sophia's yearning to understand the divine led to a moment of error, resulting in the creation of a flawed material world. This dual role, as both creator and redeemer, paints her as a complex figure, embodying both the light of wisdom and the shadows of imperfection. Her teachings were revolutionary for their time, emphasizing the pursuit of inner knowledge and the transcendence of the material world. Followers of Sophia believed that true wisdom lay in understanding the divine spark within oneself, a concept that would later echo in various spiritual traditions. But as the centuries passed, her influence waned. The rise of patriarchal religious structures and the suppression of Gnostic texts led to her story being buried beneath layers of history. Yet modern scholars and spiritual seekers are rediscovering Sophia, breathing new life into her ancient legacy. Her symbolic connection to light and knowledge resonates deeply in a world hungry for meaning. She is often depicted holding a radiant flame or surrounded by celestial light, a reminder that wisdom is not just an abstract concept but a living, guiding force. Her revival speaks to a timeless truth. The pursuit of knowledge is as vital today as it was in the ancient world. As we reflect on Sophia's enduring relevance, it's impossible not to wonder about other forgotten figures whose stories are waiting to be unearthed. One such figure, deeply tied to the cycles of nature and the mysteries of fertility, offers another glimpse into the rich tapestry of mythology, but more on that soon. For now, let Sophia's light remind us that wisdom, though sometimes forgotten, is never truly lost. From the boundless chaos of creation, where the heavens and earth were yet to take form, emerged Gaia, the primordial goddess of earth. In Greek mythology, Gaia wasn't just a deity, she was the very foundation of life itself. Born from the void, she became the mother of all, the bedrock upon which the cosmos was built. Her presence was so vast and essential that she was often depicted not just as a goddess but as the earth itself, her body forming mountains, valleys, and rivers. Gaia's story begins with her role as the mother of the Titans, the first divine beings who ruled before the Olympian gods. She gave birth to Uranus, the sky, and together they created the Titans, Cyclopes, and other primordial forces. But her story isn't just one of creation, it's also one of rebellion. When Uranus oppressed their children, Gaia conspired with her son Cronus to overthrow him, a tale that underscores her fierce protectiveness and her role as a force of balance and justice. Beyond her mythological deeds, Gaia represented something even greater, the interconnectedness of all life. To the ancient Greeks, she wasn't just a goddess to be worshipped, she was a reminder of humanity's dependence on the natural world. Her essence was tied to the soil, the seasons, and the cycles of growth and decay. In many ways, Gaia's story feels strikingly modern, echoing the principles of environmental harmony that resonate deeply today. Her myth invites us to reflect on our relationship with the earth, urging us to see the planet not as a resource to exploit but as a living, breathing entity to nurture and protect. So, how can Gaia's ancient story inspire us in the modern world? Perhaps her greatest lesson lies in her unyielding connection to the earth. In an age where ecological crises loom large, her myth reminds us of the delicate balance we must maintain with nature. She challenges us to ask, what can we do in our own lives to honor the earth and ensure its survival for generations to come? As we step away from the nurturing embrace of Gaia, we descend into a darker, more mysterious realm, the underworld. Here, another forgotten figure awaits, her story intertwined with shadows, death, and the secrets of the afterlife. Let's uncover the tale of. Deep within the shadowy realms of the Aztec underworld, a figure of profound duality emerges, Mictēcacihuātl, the goddess of death. Unlike the grim reaper of Western folklore, Mictēcacihuātl embodies both the eerie stillness of the afterlife and a surprising touch of compassion. As the silent guardian of Mictlan, the Aztec underworld, her role was to welcome the souls of the departed, guiding them through the 9 treacherous layers of the realm to their final resting place. Her presence was both feared and revered, a reminder of the inescapable cycle of life and death that governed the Aztec worldview. Mictēcacihuātl's story is inseparable from her counterpart, Mictlantecuhtli, the god of the underworld. Together, they ruled Mictlan, a partnership that mirrored the Aztec belief in balance, light and dark, life and death. While Mictlantecuhtli often represented the harsher aspects of mortality, Mictēcacihuātl offered a gentler touch, ensuring that souls were not lost or forgotten in the vast, dark expanse of the afterlife. This balance reflected the Aztec understanding of death not as an end, but as a transition, a necessary part of the cosmic order. One of the most chilling yet fascinating aspects of Mictēcacihuātl's worship was the rituals dedicated to her. During the festival of Mictēcacihuātl, the Aztecs would honor her with offerings of food, flowers, and even small effigies. These rituals were not meant to appease a vengeful deity, but to acknowledge the inevitability of death and to seek her guidance for the souls of loved ones. Imagine the scene, flickering torchlight illuminating the faces of mourners as they placed their offerings at her altar, their voices whispering prayers for safe passage into the afterlife. It was a moment of eerie beauty, a testament to the Aztec belief in the interconnectedness of life and death. Mictēcacihuātl's story is a poignant reflection of how the Aztecs viewed mortality. For them, death was not something to be feared but embraced as part of the natural order. Her dual nature, both terrifying and compassionate, captures the complexity of human emotions surrounding the end of life. She reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is a glimmer of hope, a guiding hand to lead us through the unknown. As we leave the shadowy depths of Mictlan, let's shift our focus to a figure who embodies a very different aspect of human experience, love and desire. From the solemnity of death, we move to the warmth of passion, exploring a goddess whose stories have inspired countless tales of romance and longing. Now, let's turn our attention to a figure whose essence embodies the intoxicating blend of love, beauty, and passion, Azuli, the Haitian Vodou goddess who reigns over matters of the heart. Known by many names, including Azuli Frida, she is a symbol of romance, desire, and the complexities of human emotion. But don't let her radiant beauty fool you. Azuli's story is as layered as the heart she influences, revealing a goddess who is both tender and tempestuous, nurturing and fiercely vengeful. Born from the rich spiritual traditions of Haitian Vodou, Azuli's origins trace back to West African roots, where her essence merged with the cultural tapestry of the Caribbean. She is often depicted as a figure of elegance, adorned in luxurious gowns and shimmering jewels, embodying the ideal of feminine grace. Yet her dual nature makes her one of the most intriguing figures in mythology. On one hand, she is a loving, nurturing presence, offering comfort to those who seek her guidance in matters of love and relationships. On the other, she is a force of divine retribution, punishing those who betray her or fail to honor her properly. One of the most captivating myths surrounding Azuli tells the story of her unquenchable longing for love. It's said that she once fell in love with 3 different men, each representing a different aspect of her desire's wealth, passion, and devotion. Unable to choose between them, she married all 3, yet her heart remained restless, forever yearning for a love that could never be fully satisfied. This myth reflects the bittersweet reality of human emotions, where love can bring both immense joy and profound sorrow. Azuli's influence extends far beyond mythology. She is deeply woven into Haitian culture, where she is celebrated in rituals, art, and music. Devotees honor her with offerings of perfume, flowers, and sweets, seeking her favor in matters of the heart. Yet those who fail to show her proper respect often face her wrath, a reminder that love, while beautiful, is never simple or without consequence. As we reflect on Azuli's story, it's worth considering how love and desire shape our own lives. How often do we find ourselves caught between the joy and pain that love brings? How do we navigate the complexities of our emotions, balancing passion with the need for stability and trust? From the realm of love and beauty, we now shift our gaze to a figure whose story is steeped in the art of war and strategy. This next goddess, though often overshadowed, wielded power on the battlefield with unmatched precision, proving that strength and intellect are as vital as love in the tapestry of human experience. Skathach, the warrior queen of Celtic myth, stands as a towering figure of strength, independence, and unparalleled skill. Known as the Shadowy One, she ruled over the Isle of Skye, a remote and mist-shrouded land that became the training ground for some of the greatest heroes in Celtic legend. Among her most famous pupils was Cú Chulainn, the Irish demigod whose exploits are etched into the annals of mythology. But Skathach wasn't just a teacher, she was a force of nature, a master of combat whose reputation struck fear into the hearts of her enemies. Her training regimen was legendary, pushing warriors to their absolute limits. She didn't just teach them how to fight, she taught them how to survive, how to outthink their opponents, and how to wield their weapons with deadly precision. One of her most famous lessons involved the Gíbalg, a spear so lethal that only the most skilled warriors could master its use. Cú Chulainn, under her guidance, became its most renowned wielder, but it was Skathach's own mastery of the weapon that made her a legend. One tale that captures her ferocity involves a battle against her rival, the warrior Queen Aif. The two clashed in a duel that shook the heavens, their swords ringing out like thunder. Skathach's cunning and combat prowess shone through as she outmaneuvered Aif, not just through brute strength but through strategy and skill. This victory solidified her status as one of the most formidable figures in Celtic mythology, a warrior queen who fought not for glory but to protect her people and uphold her principles. What makes Skathach so compelling is not just her skill in battle but her fierce independence. In a world dominated by male heroes, she carved out her own space, refusing to be overshadowed or diminished. Her legacy is one of empowerment, a reminder that strength and wisdom are not bound by gender. As we move from the battlefield to a realm of healing and medicine, the narrative shifts to another remarkable figure who wielded power in a very different way. While Skathach's domain was the clash of swords and the art of war, the next figure we'll explore used her knowledge to mend and restore, proving that strength comes in many forms. In the realm of Norse mythology, where gods and giants clash in epic battles, there's a figure whose power lies not in warfare but in the quiet, life-giving art of healing. Meet Aya, the goddess of medicine and a master of mending even the most grievous wounds. While many deities in the Norse pantheon are celebrated for their strength or cunning, Aya stands apart as a beacon of compassion and restoration, offering hope to those on the brink of death. Aya's name itself means mercy or help, and her role in the myths reflects this perfectly. Often associated with the Valkyries, those fierce choosers of the slain, Aya brings a different kind of power to the battlefield. While the Valkyries carry fallen warriors to Valhalla, Aya is said to stand by their side, offering her healing touch to those who might yet be saved. She represents the balance between life and death, reminding us that even in the chaos of war, there is always room for mercy. One particularly poignant myth tells of Aya's intervention to save a warrior who had been struck down in battle. As the man lay bleeding, his life slipping away, Aya appeared, her presence as calming as the first light of dawn. With her knowledge of herbs, potions, and ancient healing arts, she worked tirelessly to mend his wounds. Her hands moved with precision and care, weaving life back into his broken body. The warrior, once on the edge of death, rose again thanks to her unwavering compassion and skill. This story not only highlights Aya's incredible abilities but also underscores the deep respect the Norse people held for healers, those who could turn despair into hope. Aya's connection to the Valkyries adds another layer to her mystique. While the Valkyries are often seen as harbingers of death, guiding souls to Odin's hall, Aya represents the other side of that coin, the possibility of life restored. Together, they form a duality that reflects the Norse worldview, a world where life and death are inextricably linked, and where even in the face of destruction, renewal is always possible. As we leave the world of Aya and her healing touch, let's turn our gaze upward to the stars and celestial realms. Our next figure is one who dances among the heavens, a being whose story is written in the night sky itself. Arachne's story is one of those rare myths that feels both timeless and deeply human. She was a mortal weaver, born with a gift so extraordinary that her tapestries were said to rival even the gods' creations. But Arachne's talent came with a price. Her pride in her skill grew so immense that she dared to challenge Athena, the goddess of wisdom and crafts, to a weaving contest. It was a bold move, one that blurred the line between confidence and arrogance. The contest itself was a clash of divine and mortal artistry. Athena wove a tapestry depicting the gods' triumphs and their divine authority over humanity. Arachne, on the other hand, chose to portray the gods' flaws and misdeeds, weaving scenes of their vanity, deceit, and cruelty. Her work was flawless, but its message was a direct challenge to the gods' supremacy. Enraged by Arachne's audacity and the perfection of her craft, Athena struck her with a curse, transforming her into a spider, a creature doomed to weave for eternity. This myth is often seen as a cautionary tale, warning against the dangers of hubris and overstepping one's place. Yet, it's also a story about creativity and the risks of pushing boundaries. Arachne's defiance, though punished, left an indelible mark. Her transformation into a spider ensured that her art would live on in the delicate, intricate webs spun by her descendants. And her story has inspired countless interpretations in art, literature, and even science. Her name lives on in the word arachnid, a reminder of her enduring legacy. From the threads of Arachne's tale, we move now to a figure deeply connected to the mysteries of water and the sea, where the boundaries between the mortal and the divine blur once again. Now, let's journey to the icy waters of the Arctic, where the Inuit people tell the haunting tale of Sedna, the ocean's forgotten queen. Sedna's story is one of transformation, tragedy, and ultimate power, a goddess who rules the sea and all its creatures, yet whose origins are steeped in sorrow. Long ago, Sedna was a young woman who lived with her father in a harsh, unforgiving land. When a mysterious bird spirit offered to marry her and take her away, Sedna accepted, hoping for a better life. But the promise of comfort quickly turned to betrayal. Her new husband revealed himself as a deceitful creature, and Sedna found herself trapped in a life of misery. Desperate to escape, Sedna's father came to rescue her, but as they fled across the stormy sea, the bird spirits pursued them. In a moment of panic, Sedna's father threw her overboard to save himself. As she clung to the side of the boat, he struck her hands with an oar, severing her fingers. Each finger that fell into the sea transformed into a marine creature, whales, seals, and fish, giving birth to the ocean's bounty. Sedna herself sank to the depths, where she became the goddess of the sea, her broken hands forever shaping the fate of the waters and those who depend on them. Sedna's underwater realm is a place of both beauty and terror. She controls the ocean's gifts, and when angered by human greed or disrespect, she withholds its treasures, causing famine and hardship. Inuit hunters and fishermen often offer prayers and rituals to appease her, acknowledging her power and the delicate balance between humanity and nature. Her story is a poignant reminder of the consequences of betrayal and the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of unimaginable loss. From the icy depths of Sedna's domain, we now turn to a figure whose story burns with transformation and power, a goddess associated not with water but with fire. Pele, the Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes and fire, is a force of nature both revered and feared. She embodies the raw, untamed energy of the earth, her fiery temperament mirroring the unpredictable eruptions of the volcanoes she governs. In Hawaiian mythology, Pele is not just a destroyer, she is a creator, her molten lava giving birth to new land, reshaping the islands with each fiery outburst. Her connection to the Hawaiian landscape is profound, as the very ground beneath the feet of her people is said to be her handiwork, a testament to her enduring presence. One of the most dramatic myths surrounding Pele tells of her battle with her sister, the sea goddess Namoka. Jealous and enraged, Namoka sought to extinguish Pele's flames, leading to a fiery confrontation that shook the islands. Pele, defiant and unyielding, fought back with volcanic fury, her eruptions carving new terrain even as her sister's waves crashed against the molten rock. This eternal struggle between fire and water is said to continue to this day, a reminder of Pele's unrelenting power and her role as both a destroyer and a creator. But Pele's story is not just one of chaos and destruction. She is also a symbol of transformation, her flames consuming the old to make way for the new. The land she creates is fertile and vibrant, a reminder that even the most violent upheavals can lead to renewal. Her fiery spirit is deeply woven into the cultural fabric of Hawaii, where she is both honored and respected, her presence felt in the heat of the lava and the rumble of the earth. As we step away from the flames of Pele, we turn to a figure who guides us into the quieter, more mysterious realms of the mind. enter a goddess whose domain lies in the world of dreams and the subconscious, where the boundaries of reality blur and the impossible becomes possible. In the shadow of Morpheus, the famous Greek god of dreams, there lies a figure often overlooked: his sister, the Dreamweaver. While Morpheus is celebrated for his ability to craft dreams that visit mortals in their sleep, his sister's role is equally fascinating, if not more mysterious. She was said to shape the more abstract, surreal corners of the human subconscious, weaving dreams that were less about storytelling and more about the deep, often chaotic emotions lurking beneath the surface. Her touch could bring forth visions that felt like riddles, dreams that lingered long after waking, leaving dreamers to ponder their hidden meanings. One myth tells of a weary traveler who, after a long journey, fell into a deep slumber under the Dreamweaver's influence. In his dream, he found himself wandering through a labyrinth of mirrors, each reflecting not his face but his deepest fears and desires. When he awoke, he couldn't shake the feeling that the dream had revealed something vital about himself, something he hadn't been ready to confront. This is the power of the Dreamweaver. She doesn't just craft dreams, she unlocks the subconscious, forcing mortals to face the truths they've buried within. But dreams aren't just about introspection, they can also be tools of transformation. The Dreamweaver's influence extended beyond the individual, seeping into the collective psyche of entire communities. It was said that during times of great upheaval, her dreams could inspire revolutions, planting seeds of change in the minds of leaders and dreamers alike. Her work was subtle, almost imperceptible, but its impact was undeniable. As we move from the realm of dreams to the world of justice and retribution, it's worth noting how these two themes intertwine. Just as the Dreamweaver's visions could reveal hidden truths, the next figure we explore wields a power that ensures those truths are met with consequences. Dreams and justice, after all, are two sides of the same coin. One reveals what lies beneath, while the other ensures balance is restored. From the shadows of divine retribution emerges Nemesis, the Greek goddess who ensured that no mortal or god could escape the scales of justice. Known as the enforcer of balance, she was the embodiment of righteous anger, stepping in when pride or arrogance tipped the scales too far. Her name itself means to give what is due, and her presence was a reminder that even the mightiest could not evade accountability. Nemesis wasn't just a punisher, she was a force of equilibrium, restoring harmony by delivering consequences to those who overstepped. Her role was vital in a world where hubris, excessive pride, or defiance of the gods was seen as a dangerous disruption to the natural order. One of the most famous tales of Nemesis involves her pursuit of Narcissus, the youth so consumed by his own beauty that he spurned the affections of others. His vanity and disregard for those who loved him drew the attention of Nemesis, who led him to a pool of water. There, he fell in love with his own reflection, unable to look away until he wasted away and turned into the flower that bears his name. This story isn't just about punishment, it's a lesson in humility and the dangers of self-obsession. Nemesis didn't act out of cruelty, she acted to restore balance, ensuring that Narcissus's actions had consequences that echoed through the ages. But Nemesis's reach extended beyond individuals. She was also called upon to address injustices on a larger scale, particularly when mortals or lesser gods challenged the Olympians. Her presence was a warning: no one, no matter how powerful, could escape the consequences of their actions. This made her both feared and respected, a figure who symbolized the inevitability of justice, even if it came in unexpected ways. As we move from the realm of retribution to renewal, another goddess steps into the spotlight, one who embodies the life-giving forces of the earth. Just as Nemesis balanced the scales of justice, this figure nurtured the cycles of growth and harvest, ensuring that the world remained fertile and abundant. Her story, like Nemesis's, reminds us of the delicate equilibrium that governs both nature and human behavior. Moving from the powerful figures we've explored, let's turn our attention to a goddess who often remains in the shadows of her more famous sister, Demeter. While Demeter is widely celebrated as the goddess of agriculture and the harvest, few remember her sister, Chrysothemis. Though her name might not ring as loudly in the annals of mythology, her role was just as vital to the ancient Greeks. Chrysothemis was a guardian of the earth's fertility, ensuring the soil remained rich and the crops flourished. Her presence was felt in every golden stalk of wheat and every ripened fruit, a quiet force behind the cycle of planting and reaping. One myth tells of Chrysothemis working alongside Demeter to bring life back to the land after a devastating drought. While Demeter pleaded with the gods to restore the rains, Chrysothemis whispered to the seeds beneath the soil, coaxing them to sprout with a gentle, unseen magic. This partnership between the sisters highlights how Chrysothemis wasn't just a passive figure. She was an active participant in the natural order, embodying the resilience and renewal of the earth itself. Her connection to the seasons was profound, as she symbolized the quiet strength required to endure the harshness of winter and the patience needed to welcome spring's rebirth. To honor her, farmers would offer the first fruits of their harvest, believing that her blessing would ensure another year of abundance. Her influence wasn't just practical, it was deeply spiritual, reminding people of the delicate balance between human effort and divine favor. And while she may not have the same dramatic myths as her sister, her steady, nurturing presence was a cornerstone of ancient agricultural life. But as we leave the fields and the cycles of the harvest behind, we step into a world of mystery and enchantment. Our next figure is one who wielded not the power of the earth, but the power of magic itself. A figure whose spells and incantations could bend reality to her will. Stay with us as we uncover the story of a sorceress whose name has been whispered in awe and fear for centuries. Circe may be one of the most famous enchantresses in Greek mythology, but she wasn't the only one weaving spells and brewing potions. Enter Medea, a sorceress whose name evokes both awe and dread. Born as the daughter of King Eetes of Colchis, Medea was a priestess of Hecate, the goddess of magic, and her skills in witchcraft were unmatched. While Circe is often remembered for turning men into animals, Medea's story is darker, more complex, and filled with raw emotion, love, betrayal, and vengeance all intertwined in her legendary tale. Medea's mastery of potions and spells made her a force to be reckoned with, her most famous act of magic helping Jason and the Argonauts retrieve the Golden Fleece. Using her knowledge of herbs and incantations, she concocted a potion to protect Jason from the fire-breathing bulls he had to face. But her help came at a cost. Medea fell deeply in love with Jason, a love that would ultimately lead to her downfall. When Jason betrayed her for another woman, Medea's fury knew no bounds. She used her magic to exact a devastating revenge, crafting a poisoned robe that killed Jason's new bride and even killing her own children to ensure Jason's suffering. What makes Medea stand out among other sorceresses is her humanity. Her magic wasn't just about power, it was an extension of her emotions, her pain, and her desires. Unlike Circe, who often used her magic to assert control, Medea's spells were fueled by love and heartbreak, making her both a tragic and terrifying figure. Her story reminds us that magic in mythology isn't just about bending the world to one's will, it's a reflection of the human heart with all its light and darkness. But Medea wasn't just a rival to Circe in skill, she also clashed with other powerful women in myth. One such figure was Glauce, the princess Jason left Medea for. While not a sorceress herself, Glauce became a pawn in the deadly game of magic and revenge, a reminder that even those without power could be drawn into the battles of the gods. Medea's story also intersects with that of the witch queen Pasiphae, Circe's sister. suggesting a world where enchantresses were constantly vying for dominance, their magical rivalries shaping the fate of heroes and kingdoms alike. Medea's tale is a reminder that magic in mythology is rarely just a tool. It's a language, a weapon, and sometimes a curse. And as we leave the world of sorceresses behind, we turn to a figure whose power lay not in spells but in foresight. The ability to see the future was both a gift and a burden, as we'll soon discover. Long before the Pythia became the voice of Apollo at Delphi, there was another oracle whose name has faded into the mists of time. This early seer, often overshadowed by her more famous successor, held a sacred role as a bridge between mortals and the divine. She was the original conduit of prophecy, a woman whose whispers carried the weight of the gods' will. Her sanctuary was a place of awe and reverence where seekers would travel great distances to hear her cryptic words, hoping for a glimpse into their futures. Her prophecies were said to come from a deep connection to the earth itself, a power tied to the primordial forces that predated even the Olympian gods. Unlike the Pythia who channeled Apollo, this forgotten oracle drew her wisdom from older, more mysterious sources, perhaps the chthonic deities or the spirits of the underworld. Her visions were raw, unfiltered, and often shrouded in riddles, leaving those who sought her guidance to unravel their meanings. One of the most striking myths associated with her involves a king who came seeking advice on whether to wage war. The oracle, in a trance-like state, delivered a chilling prophecy. The fields will run red, not with blood, but with the tears of the earth. Victory will taste like ash, and the crown will crumble under its own weight. The king, interpreting this as a warning, chose peace instead. Years later, his kingdom flourished, while his rivals' lands were ravaged by famine and rebellion. It was said the oracle's words had saved countless lives, proving her uncanny ability to see beyond the present moment. This early figure's connection to divine wisdom wasn't just about foreseeing the future, it was about understanding the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Her prophecies often carried themes of transformation, hinting at the inevitable renewal that follows destruction. This makes her a fitting bridge to our next figure, one deeply entwined with the mysteries of death and the promise of new beginnings. A figure who, like the oracle, understood that endings are never truly final, they are simply the prelude to something new. Hidden within the shadow of Persephone's myth lies another fascinating figure, Hecate, the goddess of magic, crossroads, and the underworld. While Persephone's story is often centered on her abduction by Hades and her role as the queen of the underworld, Hecate's presence weaves a deeper layer into the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. As a torch-bearing guide, Hecate was said to accompany Persephone during her annual journey between the realms of the living and the dead, symbolizing the transitions that define existence itself. Her triple form, sometimes depicted as three women standing back to back, embodied the phases of the moon and the eternal rhythm of change, mirroring the seasons that Persephone's myth so powerfully governs. One lesser-known tale highlights Hecate's influence on nature and her connection to the cycles of the earth. In some versions of the myth, it was Hecate who first heard Persephone's cries when she was taken by Hades, and later played a crucial role in negotiating her partial return to the surface. This act not only solidified her role as a mediator between worlds, but also tied her to the agricultural cycles that ancient Greeks relied upon. When Persephone rises to the surface each spring, Hecate's presence is felt in the blooming flowers and the renewed life that follows winter's stillness. Her torchlight, often depicted in art, is said to represent the spark of hope and renewal that emerges even in the darkest times. But Hecate's influence extends beyond the underworld and the seasons. She is also a protector of thresholds, guiding souls and mortals alike through moments of transformation. This makes her a figure of immense power and mystery, embodying the idea that life's most profound changes often happen in the shadows, unseen yet deeply felt. Her story invites us to reflect on the cycles in our own lives, how endings can lead to new beginnings, and how even in moments of loss there is potential for growth. As we shift from the realm of life and death, let's turn our attention to another figure whose presence resonates in a different kind of transformation: the muse Polyhymnia, a goddess of music, poetry, and the arts. Where Hecate's torch illuminates the path through darkness, Polyhymnia's voice and lyre inspire creativity, reminding us that even in the face of life's cycles, the human spirit finds ways to create beauty and meaning. Now, let's shift our focus to a muse who often lingered in the shadows of her more famous sister, Calliope. While Calliope is celebrated as the muse of epic poetry, her sister, Euterpe, holds a quieter but no less significant role in the world of mythology. Known as the muse of music and lyric poetry, Euterpe's influence resonated through the hearts of ancient artists, shaping the melodies and verses that defined their cultures. Her name, meaning giver of delight, speaks to the joy she brought through her divine inspiration. Euterpe was often depicted holding a double flute, an instrument that symbolized her connection to the rhythmic and harmonious arts. Ancient poets and musicians would call upon her to infuse their work with beauty and emotion, believing her touch could elevate even the simplest tune into something transcendent. One myth tells of a young shepherd who, after hearing Euterpe's flute echoing through the hills, was inspired to compose songs so enchanting that even the gods paused to listen. Stories like these highlight her ability to spark creativity in those who sought her guidance, leaving a lasting mark on the artistic traditions of the ancient world. But Euterpe's legacy isn't just confined to music. Her influence extended to the lyrical poetry that often accompanied it, blending words and sounds into a seamless expression of human emotion. This connection between music and poetry was vital in a time when storytelling was deeply intertwined with performance, and Euterpe stood at the heart of this creative fusion. Her presence reminds us that art, in all its forms, has the power to move and inspire, bridging the gap between the mortal and the divine. As we leave the world of melodies and verses behind, we're drawn into the untamed wilderness where another powerful figure roams. A figure whose story is as wild and free as the forest she calls home. Deep in the ancient forests, where moonlight filters through the trees and the air hums with the whispers of nature, there lived a figure whose name has faded from modern tongues but whose legacy echoes through myth. She was Atalanta, the swift-footed huntress and devoted companion to Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt. Atalanta wasn't just a skilled archer or a tracker of game. She was a protector of the wild, a guardian of the untamed places where humans rarely dared to tread. Her story is one of defiance, independence, and an unbreakable bond with the wilderness she loved. Born to a king who desired a son, Atalanta was left on a mountainside as an infant, but fate had other plans. A she-bear found her, nurturing the child as one of her own. Later, hunters discovered her and raised her among the trees and streams, teaching her the ways of the wild. By the time she reached adulthood, Atalanta had become a force of nature herself, faster than any mortal and unmatched in her skill with a bow. She swore her loyalty to Artemis, rejecting societal expectations and choosing a life of freedom in the forests. One of the most famous tales of Atalanta involves a hunt for the fearsome Caledonian boar, a monstrous creature sent by Artemis to punish a king who neglected her worship. Atalanta joined a band of heroes, including some of the greatest names in Greek mythology, to track down the beast. While others boasted of their strength, it was Atalanta who struck the first blow, her arrow piercing the boar's hide and proving her worth among the so-called heroes. Her triumph wasn't just a display of skill, it was a reminder of the power of humility and the importance of respecting the natural world. Atalanta's connection to the wilderness wasn't just about hunting, it was about balance. She understood that to take from nature, one must also give back, a lesson that resonates even today. Her role as a protector of wildlife and a symbol of independence makes her a timeless figure, one who challenges us to reconsider our relationship with the environment and the roles society assigns to us. But Atalanta's story doesn't end in the forests. Her life took an unexpected turn when she became entangled in a myth that ties her to another aspect of nature, birth and motherhood. After her feats in the hunt, she faced a new challenge, a race against suitors who sought her hand in marriage. Determined to remain free, she declared that she would only marry the man who could outrun her. Many tried and many failed until one suitor used cunning rather than speed, distracting her with golden apples and claiming victory. This twist in her tale connects her to themes of fertility and the cycles of life, bridging the gap between the wilderness and the nurturing aspects of nature. From the untamed forests to the hearth of motherhood, Atalanta's journey is a testament to the duality of life, wild and free, yet deeply connected to the cycles of growth and renewal. Her story reminds us that the natural world is not just something to be conquered or feared, but a force to be respected, cherished, and protected. From the sacred domain of childbirth, where Eileithyia reigns as the guiding light for mothers in labor, there exists a lesser-known but equally vital figure who stood by her side, Genetrix. Often overshadowed by the more prominent goddess, Genetrix was a divine ally dedicated to ensuring safe deliveries and protecting mothers during their most vulnerable moments. While Eileithyia presided over the process of childbirth itself, Genetrix's role was deeply tied to the emotional and physical well-being of mothers, offering them strength and solace as they brought new life into the world. One myth tells of a mortal queen named Althea who struggled through a prolonged and perilous labor. Despite Eileithyia's efforts, the queen's life hung in the balance. It was Genetrix who intervened, whispering words of comfort and channeling her divine energy to steady Althea's spirit. Her presence was said to calm the storm of pain, allowing the queen to safely deliver her child. This story highlights Genetrix's unique gift, her ability to nurture not just the body, but the soul of those in need. Her connection to maternal care made her an indispensable figure in the lives of women, even if her name has faded from modern memory. As we turn our gaze from the realm of childbirth, another figure emerges from the shadows, one whose essence is intertwined with the moon and the mysteries of the night. Like Genetrix, she is a guardian of transitions, but her domain lies beneath the silver glow of the lunar light, where she watches over dreams and the passage of time. Let's step into her story next, where the night holds secrets waiting to be unveiled. High above the earth, where the stars shimmer like scattered pearls, there exists a figure often overshadowed by her more famous sister, Selene, the radiant goddess of the moon. But tonight, we turn our gaze to her lesser-known sibling, a guardian of the night whose name has faded into the mists of myth. She is the quiet force behind the moon's gentle glow, a guide for travelers under the silver light of the heavens. While Selene embodies the moon's luminous beauty, her sister holds a subtler yet equally vital role. She is the protector of those who journey through the darkness, offering solace and direction when the world is cloaked in shadow. Her connection to the lunar cycles runs deep, as she is said to weave the moon's phases into the fabric of time itself. Ancient tales speak of her influence over the tides and her ability to whisper secrets to those who listen closely beneath the full moon's glow. One particularly enchanting myth tells of a weary traveler lost in a forest on a moonless night. Desperate and afraid, the wanderer called out to the heavens, and it was this forgotten sister of Selene who answered. With a single beam of light, she illuminated a hidden path, guiding the traveler safely home. Stories like these remind us of her quiet power, a force that moves silently but profoundly through the world. But her role extends beyond the physical realm. she is also a keeper of fate, her essence intertwined with the threads of destiny. It's said that those born under her watchful gaze carry a touch of her influence, their lives marked by a certain mystery and an affinity for the unseen. As we move forward, we'll explore another figure whose story is deeply connected to fate and destiny, a figure who reminds us that even the most forgotten among us hold the keys to the grand tapestry of existence. For now, let us linger a moment longer beneath the moon's glow, remembering this unsung guardian of the night. Her story, though whispered rather than shouted, is a testament to the quiet strength that guides us through life's darkest hours. And as the moon waxes and wanes, so too does her legacy, a reminder that even in obscurity, there is power, purpose, and light. As we continue our journey through the forgotten figures of mythology, we come to one of the most enigmatic and powerful beings in Greek lore, the Moira, whose name has faded into obscurity. While many have heard of the three fates Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, there was another, lesser-known sister, a weaver of destiny whose stories remain shrouded in mystery. She was the spinner of threads, the one who began the intricate patterns of human lives, guiding them with her unseen hand. Her loom was not just a tool of creation but a symbol of inevitability, a reminder that every life, no matter how grand or humble, was bound by the threads she wove. This forgotten Moira's role was subtle yet profound. While her sisters measured and cut the threads of life, she was the one who spun them into existence. Her spindle turned with the rhythm of the cosmos, each twist and pull shaping the destinies of mortals. In one particularly striking myth, she is said to have woven the fate of a young hero who dared to defy the gods. His thread was spun with golden strands of courage and red streaks of tragedy, a tapestry that foretold his rise and fall. Despite his efforts to escape his fate, every step he took only brought him closer to the end she had already crafted. Her power was absolute, her designs inescapable, but her influence didn't end with the lives of mortals. The Moira's threads were also said to intertwine with the natural world, her loom humming with the energy of storms and winds. In this way, she was closely tied to the forces of nature, her work echoing in the tempests that swept across the earth. It's said that when her spindle spun faster, the skies would darken and thunder would roll across the heavens. This connection to the elements brings us to our next figure, a being whose very breath could summon storms and whose presence was felt in every gust of wind and crash of lightning. From the chaos of the skies comes a figure shrouded in power and mystery, the Stormbringer, a goddess whose name has been all but lost to time, yet whose influence once shaped the lives of ancient peoples. She was no ordinary deity. Her domain was the tempest, the howling winds, and the torrential rains that could both nourish the earth and unleash its fury. Imagine a world where every storm was thought to be her handiwork, where sailors and farmers alike prayed for her mercy or her wrath. This was the realm of the Stormbringer, a forgotten goddess who commanded the very elements themselves. Legends tell of her ability to summon gales with a flick of her wrist and to calm the seas with a whispered word. She was both feared and revered, a figure who embodied the dual nature of storms, destructive yet life-giving. One myth recounts how she once saved a village from drought by unleashing a week-long downpour, only to later punish a neighboring kingdom for its hubris by sending a hurricane that leveled its walls. These stories paint her as a force of balance, a reminder that nature is neither wholly kind nor cruel, but always powerful. To truly understand her impact, picture a lone ship caught in a raging storm at sea. The sailors, desperate and terrified, call out to the Stormbringer, offering sacrifices and promises in exchange for safe passage. Suddenly, the winds shift, the waves calm, and the sky clears. It was moments like these that cemented her place in the hearts of those who relied on the elements for survival. Yet, despite her significance, her name has faded from history, overshadowed by more prominent deities. Why? Perhaps because her stories were passed down orally, or because her worship was localized, tied to specific regions or communities. Whatever the reason, her absence from modern retellings is a loss worth noting. As we step away from the tempestuous tales of the Stormbringer, we find ourselves drawn to another figure, one whose wisdom and strategic mind provided a stark contrast to the raw power of the skies. This next goddess, often overlooked in favor of her more famous counterparts, was a master of intellect and foresight, guiding mortals not through storms, but through the storms of life itself. Her story is one of cunning and clarity, a testament to the quieter, yet no less profound, forms of divine influence. Moving from the realms of divine wisdom and warfare, we now encounter a figure whose brilliance often stood in the shadow of Athena herself. Meet Enyo, the goddess of war and destruction, and a formidable rival to Athena in both strategy and might. While Athena is celebrated for her wisdom and tactical genius, Enyo represents the raw, unrelenting force of battle, a figure whose influence on ancient warfare was just as profound, though far less sung. Enyo's myths paint her as a relentless strategist, often described as the companion of Ares, the god of war. But unlike Ares, whose rage was chaotic and unpredictable, Enyo brought a calculated ferocity to the battlefield. One of her most famous tales involves the Trojan War, where she is said to have inspired the warriors with a chilling precision, guiding them not just through brute strength but through cunning maneuvers that turned the tide of battle. In one lesser-known myth, Enyo orchestrated a daring ambush that allowed a small band of soldiers to outwit a much larger force, proving that her strategic mind rivaled even Athena's. This story highlights her ability to blend chaos with control, a duality that made her both feared and revered. What sets Enyo apart is her embodiment of the darker side of warfare, the kind that doesn't just win battles but leaves a lasting mark on history. Her influence extended beyond the battlefield, shaping how ancient societies understood the art of war. While Athena taught the value of wisdom and restraint, Enyo reminded them that sometimes victory demands a ruthless edge. Her myths serve as a stark contrast to Athena's more polished image, offering a glimpse into the complexities of ancient perspectives on conflict. As we shift from the intensity of Enyo's strategic prowess, let's turn our attention to a figure who embodies a very different kind of power, one tied to love and beauty. This next goddess stands in stark contrast to the battlefield, yet her influence was just as transformative. Her story takes us into the heart of passion, desire, and the eternal quest for connection. As we journey deeper into the shadows of forgotten mythologies, we stumble upon a radiant figure who once held the hearts of an ancient culture in her hands, Anahita, the Persian goddess of love, fertility, and water. While Aphrodite and Venus often steal the spotlight in discussions of love deities, Anahita's story is a hidden gem, shimmering with beauty and mystery. Imagine a goddess not just of love, but of life itself, her essence flowing through rivers and nurturing the earth. Anahita was revered as the source of all waters, a symbol of purity and vitality, and her worship was intertwined with the very fabric of Persian spirituality. One of her most captivating myths tells of her role in the union of the hero Ardashir and the beautiful Shirin. Ardashir, a humble shepherd, fell deeply in love with Shirin, but her family demanded he prove his worth. Guided by Anahita's grace, Ardashir embarked on a perilous journey, overcoming trials that tested his courage and devotion. In the end, it was Anahita's blessing that allowed him to triumph, uniting the lovers in a bond that symbolized the harmony of love and destiny. This tale not only highlights Anahita's power, but also reflects the ancient belief that love is a force as essential and life-giving as water itself. Anahita's influence extended beyond myth into the daily lives of her followers. She was celebrated in festivals where people gathered by rivers to honor her, offering flowers and prayers in hopes of finding love or fertility. Her temples, often built near water sources, became places of pilgrimage for those seeking her blessings. Even today, some of these traditions echo in modern Persian culture, where water remains a sacred element in rituals and celebrations. Now, as we bask in the glow of Anahita's legacy, let's turn our gaze toward another radiant figure, one who embodies the warmth and brilliance of the sun. From the flowing waters of love, we step into the golden light of the sun goddess Amaterasu, whose story shines brightly in the mythology of Japan, but that's a tale for another moment. For now, let Anahita's story remind us that love, like water, is a force that flows through all of us, connecting hearts across time and culture. In the vast tapestry of mythology, where gods and goddesses reign over every element of existence, there lies a figure often overshadowed by more prominent deities, a forgotten sun goddess whose light once illuminated ancient skies and brought warmth to the hearts of her people. This lesser-known guardian of the sun and light was more than just a celestial figure. She was the very essence of life and vitality, ensuring the world thrived under her radiant gaze. Her role was as vital as the sun itself, bringing light to dispel darkness, warmth to thaw the cold, and energy to nurture crops and sustain life. Unlike the more familiar sun gods, whose stories dominate many mythologies, this goddess carried a uniquely nurturing presence. She wasn't just a symbol of power or authority. She was a protector, a life-giver, and a reminder of the delicate balance between light and shadow. One particularly sunny myth tells of her journey across the heavens each day, not merely as a task but as a sacred duty. It's said that she would weave golden threads of sunlight, casting them across the earth to awaken sleeping flowers, ripen fruits, and bring joy to those who worshipped her. In one tale, when a great darkness threatened to consume the world, she descended from the skies, her light so fierce that it banished the shadows and restored hope to all living things. This act of divine intervention cemented her legacy as a guardian not just of the sun, but of life itself. But her influence didn't stop at the sky. This sun goddess was deeply connected to the rhythms of nature, her warmth nurturing not only humans but also the creatures of the earth. Her light was said to guide animals through the seasons, ensuring their survival and harmony with the land. This bond between light and life paved the way for another forgotten figure, one whose story intertwines with hers, a goddess who embodied the spirit of animals and the untamed beauty of the natural world. As we turn our gaze from the skies to the earth, we'll uncover the tale of this nature-bound deity, whose connection to the wild and its inhabitants reveals yet another layer of the intricate web of mythology. Together, these two figures remind us of the profound ties between the heavens, the earth, and all living beings, a timeless dance of light, life, and nature. Imagine a world where wild animals roamed freely, and the balance of nature was guarded by a divine figure who stood as their protector. This is the story of a forgotten goddess, a figure shrouded in the mists of ancient mythology, whose role was to shield the creatures of the earth and ensure harmony in the natural world. Her name may not be as familiar as Artemis or Diana, but her influence was no less profound. She was the embodiment of compassion for all living things, a deity who walked among the forests and rivers, listening to the whispers of the wind and the calls of the wild. This goddess was often depicted surrounded by animals, lions, deer, birds, and even serpents, each one a symbol of her sacred bond with the natural world. Myths tell of her ability to communicate with creatures, to heal their wounds, and to guide them to safety. In one tale, she intervened when a great drought threatened the land, summoning rains to nourish the parched earth and leading herds of animals to hidden springs. Her presence was a reminder that humanity was not separate from nature but deeply intertwined with it. One particularly captivating myth involves a wounded wolf that stumbled into her sacred grove. The goddess, moved by its suffering, used her divine powers to mend its injuries, grateful, the wolf became her loyal companion, a symbol of her ability to transform pain into strength and fear into trust. Stories like this highlight her role not just as a protector, but as a bridge between the human and animal realms, teaching us to respect and cherish the creatures who share our world. Her legacy is a testament to the ancient reverence for the natural world, a reminder that every creature, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, has a place in the grand tapestry of life. As we reflect on her story, we're invited to consider our own relationship with nature and the ways we can honor the delicate balance she once guarded. Now, as we turn our attention from the wilds to the fields, we encounter another figure whose story is deeply rooted in the rhythms of the earth. This next goddess, tied to the harvest and the cycles of abundance, reminds us of the gifts that come from the soil and the hands that nurture it. Her tale is one of growth, renewal, and the enduring connection between humanity and the land that sustains us. As we journey further into the forgotten realms of mythology, we encounter a figure whose name may not echo as loudly as Demeter or Ceres, but whose influence over the earth's bounty was just as profound. Meet the Harvest Queen, a lesser-known goddess of abundance whose story is woven into the very fabric of agricultural life. She was the silent guardian of the fields, the unseen hand that guided the growth of crops and the ripening of fruits, ensuring that communities thrived through the changing seasons. Her role was not just about fertility, it was about balance, the delicate harmony between human effort and nature's generosity. In one ancient myth, the Harvest Queen is said to have walked the earth during the first days of spring, her touch turning barren soil into flourishing fields. Farmers would leave offerings at the edges of their lands, hoping to earn her favor. But one year, a drought struck and the people feared starvation. Desperate, they prayed to the Harvest Queen, and in response, she descended into the underworld to bargain with its ruler for the return of rain. Her journey was long and perilous, but her determination to restore life to the land never wavered. When she emerged victorious, the skies opened and the earth bloomed once more. This tale not only highlights her power, but also underscores her deep connection to the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, a reminder that abundance is not guaranteed, but earned through resilience and faith. From the fertile fields, we now turn our gaze toward the vast and unpredictable sea, where another forgotten figure awaits. Her story is one of storms and serenity, a testament to the dual nature of the waters she commands. But that is a tale for another moment. For now, let us hold onto the image of the Harvest Queen, her hands filled with golden grain, her presence a quiet yet enduring force in the lives of those who depended on her. Her legacy may have faded from popular memory, but her essence lingers in every harvest, a reminder of the enduring bond between humanity and the earth. Picture this, a raging storm on the open sea, waves crashing against jagged rocks, and a figure emerging from the chaos wild-haired, commanding the tempest with a flick of her hand. This is the Sea Witch, a lesser-known deity of the ocean and storms, whose name may not echo through the halls of mythology like Poseidon or Neptune, but whose power was no less formidable. She was the master of waves and tides, a force of nature both feared and revered by sailors who dared to cross her domain. Her myths tell of a goddess who could summon storms with a whisper and calm the seas with a song. Sailors would offer her gifts, shells, pearls, and even precious gems, hoping to earn her favor and safe passage. Yet her favor was fickle, and those who angered her would find their ships tossed like toys in a child's bath. One legend speaks of a fisherman who mocked her name, only to be swept away by a sudden wave, never to be seen again. Her connection to the sea wasn't just about destruction, though. She was also a protector of marine life, ensuring the balance of the ocean's ecosystem. Her storms were said to cleanse the waters, washing away impurities and renewing life beneath the waves. Now, as we leave the tumultuous seas behind, let's dive into darker waters, the realm of the underworld. This shift brings us to a figure who bridges the worlds of the living and the dead, a spirit guide who holds sway over the souls of the departed. Her story is one of mystery and power, a haunting reminder of the thin veil between life and death. Deep within the shadows of ancient mythologies, there exists a figure whose name has faded from the grand tales of gods and heroes, yet whose role was vital in the journey of souls. This is the story of Eidothea, a forgotten spirit guide who served as a bridge between the realms of the living and the dead. Unlike the more famous underworld deities like Hades or Persephone, Eidothea's presence was subtle, her purpose quiet yet profound. She was the unseen hand that guided lost souls through the labyrinthine paths of the afterlife, ensuring they reached their final resting place. Her tale is woven into a haunting myth from an ancient culture that revered her as the keeper of thresholds. According to legend, Eidothea would appear to those who had just crossed into the underworld, her form shimmering like mist under moonlight. She carried no torch, no staff, only her voice, which echoed with the wisdom of countless ages. Souls who followed her instructions would find peace, while those who ignored her guidance were said to wander eternally in the void. Her role wasn't just about leading, it was about teaching. She reminded the dead of their humanity, their choices, and the weight of their actions in life. One particularly chilling story tells of a warrior who refused to accept his death. Arrogant and defiant, he believed he could outwit the underworld itself. Eidothea appeared to him not as a guide but as a mirror, reflecting the consequences of his pride. Through her, he saw the suffering he had caused in life, the lives he had shattered. It was only when he acknowledged his mistakes that she led him to a place of rest. This myth underscores her dual role not just as a guide, but as a force of accountability, reminding us that the journey to the afterlife is as much about self-reflection as it is about reaching a destination. As we leave the shadowy paths of the underworld, let's turn our attention to a figure whose essence is tied not to death, but to the light of wisdom and knowledge. This transition brings us to Sophia, a deity whose name itself means wisdom. Her story, though often overshadowed by more prominent figures, offers a fascinating contrast to Eidothea's role in the afterlife. Where one guided souls through darkness, the other illuminated the minds of the living with clarity and insight. Sophia's presence in mythology reminds us that knowledge is its own kind of immortality, a beacon that transcends the boundaries of life and death. Among the pantheon of wisdom goddesses, one figure stands quietly in the shadows, often overlooked yet profoundly influential in her own right. Meet Seshat, the ancient Egyptian goddess of wisdom, knowledge, and writing. While many are familiar with Thoth, the god of writing and knowledge, Seshat was his female counterpart, revered as the divine scribe and keeper of sacred records. Her name, meaning she who scrivens, reflects her role in recording the passage of time and the deeds of kings. But Seshat wasn't just a passive observer. She was an active participant in the intellectual and spiritual life of ancient Egypt, guiding the construction of temples and ensuring the accuracy of sacred texts. One of her most intriguing roles was her connection to the stretching of the cord ceremony, a ritual used to align temples and sacred spaces with the stars. This ceremony wasn't just symbolic, it was a profound act of cosmic harmony, blending architecture, astronomy, and spirituality. Seshat's precision in this ritual highlights her as a bridge between the earthly and the celestial, a goddess who understood the importance of aligning human endeavors with the rhythms of the universe. Her influence extended beyond the physical realm, shaping the intellectual and spiritual pursuits of ancient Egypt. Temples weren't just buildings, they were living embodiments of divine knowledge, and Seshat was the guardian of that sacred wisdom. Interestingly, Seshat's legacy even finds echoes in modern scholarship. In the early 20th century, archaeologists discovered a set of ancient texts that referenced her meticulous record-keeping. These texts revealed that Skathach wasn't just a mythological figure, but a symbol of the intellectual rigor that defined ancient Egyptian culture. Her meticulous nature inspired scribes and scholars who saw in her a model of dedication and precision. Even today, her image, often depicted wearing a headdress adorned with a seven-pointed star, reminds us of the timeless pursuit of knowledge and the importance of preserving it for future generations. As we leave the realm of Skathach and her sacred scrolls, our journey takes us upward toward the stars themselves. For the next figure in our exploration is one who navigated not just the earthly plane but the vast expanse of the night sky, a goddess whose stories are written not in ink or stone, but in the constellations themselves. Her name and her myths are a testament to humanity's eternal fascination with the heavens, and her influence stretches far beyond the boundaries of any single culture. Let's turn our gaze upward now to the celestial tapestry and the forgotten goddess who wove it. As we turn our gaze upward to the vast expanse of the night sky, we meet a celestial figure whose name has faded from memory, yet whose influence still twinkles faintly in the stories of the stars. She is the celestial navigator, a goddess who once guided sailors, explorers, and dreamers alike through the mysteries of the cosmos. Unlike the more famous deities of the heavens, her story remains tucked away in the quieter corners of mythology, waiting to be rediscovered. In ancient tales, she was said to weave the constellations into being, her hands tracing arcs of light across the darkness. Each star held a purpose, each cluster a story. To those who looked to the skies for direction, she was a beacon of hope and certainty. Sailors would pray to her before setting out on perilous journeys, trusting her to lead them safely through uncharted waters. Her presence was felt in the gentle glow of Polaris, the North Star, and in the shimmering paths of the Milky Way. She wasn't just a guide for the body, but also for the soul, offering solace to those who felt lost in the vastness of the world. One particularly enchanting myth tells of a young traveler who had lost their way in a dense, endless forest. Desperate and weary, they cried out to the heavens for help. The celestial navigator, moved by their plea, descended from the stars and appeared as a radiant figure cloaked in starlight. She whispered to the traveler, teaching them to read the patterns of the night sky. With her guidance, they not only found their way home, but also discovered a deeper connection to the universe itself. This story, like so many others, reminds us of her dual role as both a physical and spiritual guide. Her connection to the night sky wasn't just symbolic, it was deeply practical. Ancient cultures relied on the stars for navigation, agriculture, and even storytelling. By aligning their lives with the rhythms of the cosmos, they honored her wisdom and the timeless bond between humanity and the heavens. Yet, as time passed, her name slipped into obscurity, overshadowed by louder, more dominant myths. It's fascinating to think about how her legacy still lingers in the way we marvel at the stars today. Whether we're stargazing on a clear night or tracing constellations with our fingertips, we're participating in a tradition that stretches back millennia. The celestial navigator may no longer be widely remembered, but her light still guides us, reminding us of the wonder and mystery that lies just beyond our reach. And as we prepare to bring this journey through forgotten female figures in mythology to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the stories we've uncovered. Each one, like a star in the night sky, has its own unique brilliance, illuminating paths we might never have explored otherwise. As we come to the end of this journey through the lives of 30 extraordinary women, it's impossible not to be struck by the depth and richness of their stories. These forgotten figures, each a unique thread in the vast tapestry of mythology, remind us of the power of resilience, wisdom, and courage. From the fierce warrior goddesses to the quiet yet unyielding heroines, their tales have shaped cultures, inspired generations, and left an indelible mark on the world. Yet for far too long, their voices have been overshadowed or lost to time. Rediscovering their stories isn't just an act of historical curiosity. It's a way to honor their legacies and uncover the universal truths they embody. These women teach us about strength in the face of adversity, the importance of compassion, and the transformative power of standing up for what's right. They remind us that mythology isn't just a collection of ancient tales. It's a mirror reflecting the values, struggles, and aspirations of humanity itself. So, what can we take away from these incredible figures? Perhaps it's the realization that history is filled with untold stories waiting to be brought to light. Every culture, every tradition holds within it the echoes of women who shaped their worlds in profound ways. By exploring their lives, we not only enrich our understanding of the past, but also find inspiration for the present and future. Now it's your turn. Dive deeper into the myths and legends that call to you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these heroines resonated with you the most? And as you reflect on their stories, consider this. What other forgotten voices might be out there, waiting for someone to uncover and share their truths? The stories of these 30 women are just the beginning. The past is filled with hidden gems, and each one has the power to inspire, challenge, and transform us. So let's keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep sharing the stories that deserve to be remembered.